going on with you and Andy?
Nothing.
Oh, nothing. Okay. We're good.
It's just people in here who you trust and who you do not need to tell your business to. And Lucinda and Sav are two people I don't feel the need.
Focus on myself and what I want to do.
Do I feel that the right decision was made? No. As I said yesterday, the people being eliminated shows who the producers are trying to save. And so the idea that Tasia went home is shocking and upsetting for someone like me. And I'm here for Nakia. I know someone said, oh, Nakia. I love Nakia. I love the fact that she is true to who she is. She is confident in her skin and she's not going to let anyone or anything change her from who she is. And they all know who she is and they know not to cross her because she's going to tell it as it is. But anyway, I digress. Hey there, thanks for stopping by. It's Valerie. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. Click the like button, turn on the notification bell for when I upload new videos, and definitely leave a comment. In this episode, I'll be reviewing Love Island Australia, Season 5, Episode 19. Oh, it's going to be tears and tears and tears. Lucinda's been on Love Island before. I'm sorry, but I don't have any sympathy for Lucinda, given how much of a mean girl she's been in the villa. The idea that she's crying, that she feels like the viewers are seeing something about Zach that she hasn't seen. We're all seeing the same thing, how he disrespects her, how he doesn't come across as very romantic outside of the little meal that he set up for her to say, well, let's close things off. He hasn't done anything, in my opinion, outside of have sex with her and kiss her every other minute to say that he's interested in her or that he values her. So for her to cry, I'm sorry, but I'm not buying it. Whether she's crying to get sympathy for him or from the viewers or whatever, I don't get it. I know she said he's cocky. I think he's disrespectful. I think he's arrogant. I think he's self-centered. And I could go on and on and on, but I'm going to keep quiet. Because as far as I'm concerned, the way he treats her, the way he speaks to her, the way he behaves towards other islanders is enough of a red flag that she should have seen it. And if she doesn't see it, then, well, tough luck. Better luck next time. And then we have Zach sort of speaking with the guys and saying, oh, I don't know where I was in the bottom. What do you think, Sherlock Holmes? What do you think? Do you think the way you've been behaving, the way you've been disrespecting other islanders, the way you've spoken to the girl that you say you love, the way you've behaved to her, the way you've behaved when Sophie's asked you questions, what makes you think you wouldn't be in the bottom three? Make it make sense. What makes you think you wouldn't be in the bottom three for just that alone? Make it make sense. And then Reed, I said this yesterday, I'm going to say this again. Reed is the villain of the season and no one is calling him out for it. If it was anyone else, people would be, calling him out and they would be petitioning for him to go home. But the fact that he's now saying, after all his couplings, this is his 5th couple since he's come in, and he says this is where he's felt his connection. So why did he pander to all the other 4 girls to pick him? Was he looking to stay in the villa until he found his person, or was he really trying to explore a connection with someone? Make it make sense. The audacity. It's sad to see Tasia cry. I like Tasia, and for her to be consoled by 2 of the Dumb and Dumber crew doesn't make sense. I think they're consoling her because Reed is their guy and they know that what he's doing is wrong, and so they're pretending to be nice guys, but they're just doing it because they're trying to protect their guy and they don't want their guy to go home. And so I get where Tasha's coming from, that he should have told her, or he should have pulled her for a chat after he recoupled with Chloe. But no, he's decided to go and cuddle Chloe and sort of, be romantic with Chloe. Eventually, he pulls her for a chat. And I guess Tasia's right to say, she always wants the guys that she thinks she can't get, and she doesn't want the nice guys, whilst it was evident in the fact that she, skipped over Nate and went straight for the biggest jackass in the villa. And so for him to speak to her and not realize where he went wrong, that shows he lacks self-awareness. He can't self-reflect, because how can he not see that what he did was wrong? Tasia was right to say, when he realized he was having a strong connection with Chloe, before the recoupling, he should have told Tasia, I'm sorry, but I am going to put all my eggs in Chloe's basket because that's who I'm feeling. I have a feeling he didn't do that because he still wanted to be safe in the villa. So if the girls were picking, he still wanted Tasia to save him if Chloe didn't pick him. So he's always very calculated, and for the rest of the guys to know this and to laugh about it doesn't make sense. They need to call him out. It's unacceptable because he's messing around with people's feelings and emotions, and he's not even, appearing to sort of recognize that. So I don't get it. I don't know. And the fact that he couldn't just say, I'm sorry. I am sorry for, making you feel the way you feel. I'm sorry for my behavior. I'm sorry I did not sort of inform you in advance or speak to you soon after the recoupling to make sure you're okay. It's the cuteness for me. It's the cuteness. The fact that you have Tyra. Finally, we get to see Tyra and Kale having a conversation because we really haven't seen anything of them. And so they're having this chat, and Tyra is actually recognizing that it took a lot of guts for Kale to come back in, knowing how Nakia treated him, and for him to still want to explore things with Tyra. That says a lot about him. And, I think she's realized that it took a lot of guts for him to do that. And he appears to be very genuine in the sense that he has not even gone back to Nakia to try and see if they could rekindle or anything. No, he's stuck to the person he came in for, and he's doing his best to make sure that she knows that he is genuine. And I love that for her. I love that for Tyra. I love Tyra. I think she deserves love, and if Kale is going to be that person, amazing. And then you have my faves, Nate, and he's with Georgia, and Nate is always going to be smooth. Nate is got the charm because of the way he really made her understand that I'm giving you a second chance, so you have to take it and use it wisely. And I think she recognizes that there's no one else in the villa for her but Nate. I don't think there's going to be Casa more because I think we're already week 4, unless there is going to be at the end of the week. I don't know. And so to see her appreciate that, she's been given the second chance, she's going to do everything within her power to show Nate that she's genuine. I think Nate is a great guy. I know people are saying, why are you giving Georgia a pass? I'm not giving her a pass, but I know that in order for my guy to stay on the show and have a chance at winning, he needs to be in a couple. Georgia, yes, has treated him badly in the sense that she's sort of been indecisive. But with that, if we remember how Tia spoke to Nate and how she treated Nate, I would rather this indecisive person than someone like Tia. She's always been honest. She's always been respectful in how she's spoken to Nate. So that's why I give Georgia a pass, because I know he needs someone. And sadly, Tasia, I think Nate has moved on from that. So I hope she continues to recognize that this is an amazing guy that she has. And I hope she remembers that any of the girls in the villa would be lucky to have Nate. And I think Tasia is just waiting in the wings that if Nate becomes available, she will pounce. She will pounce. Personally, I don't understand Lucinda's tantrum. Somebody explain it to me because I don't get it. The fact that she's upset that the viewers don't like Zach, is that reason enough for her to throw a tantrum? Does she like Zach for the person that he is, or does she like him for the person that she thinks the viewers will like? Make it make sense. Why should our opinions of Zach have anything to do with how she feels about him? If she likes him, she's going to like him irregardless of what we think or how we feel. And so the idea that she's upset, oh, I don't want to talk to you, and it takes Tyra to convince her to go and have a chat with Zach, and it's like, why? This is all theatrics. This is all theatrics. I know someone wrote in the comments that Lucinda and Zach are in the UK and whatever. Personally, that relationship, I don't know. Maybe I'll eat my words one day, but I haven't seen anything that convinces me that, outside of them having sex and kissing and making out, I haven't seen anything that shows me that he cares about her. He hasn't done anything or said anything that convinces me otherwise. And for her to have to ask him to say, I want you to be more serious about what? More serious about what? She's more or less saying she wants him to pander to us, the viewers, and we don't want him pandering to us. We want him to be himself. If he's going to be the person we love to hate, whoop-de-doo. If he's going to be an amazing person like Nate, Kale, or even Andy, whoop-de-doo. But he doesn't need to pander to us, and we don't want, well, personally, I don't want someone pandering to me. I want someone to be who they are, and Zach has already shown us week after week, episode after episode, who he is. So the idea that now Lucinda has seen that the fans are not eating up whatever he's dishing out, and she wants him to pander to us. No, thank you. Not interested. Oh, Nathan and Georgia are very sweet. Georgia is following Nate wherever Nate goes. She's his shadow, and she really wants this to work. So she's going to do anything and everything to convince him. As she said that, she wants him to know that she's genuine. Obviously, they're taking pictures of the cat and stuff. It was cute. It was really cute to see. All the islanders go to bed, and oh my god, everyone is making out. I feel sorry for the singles because there's only 3 single people in the villa. Well, technically 1 in my opinion. The only person who's single is Tasia, because Sav and Trent will save each other. If push comes to shove, they will save each other. They will pretend that there's a connection. They'll make out as they did at the start, just so the 2 of them can stay safe. So in the morning, there's sort of a conversation with Nakia is chatting with Tasia and Tyra. And she's saying that, they got busy in bed the night before. There was touching of the flower garden and stuff. And it's cute to see that. I think Nakia really likes Andy, and you can see the difference with her body language, how she speaks about Andy as compared to when she was with Kale. I think she liked Kale, but I think she really didn't like him as much as she likes Andy, if you get what I mean. And so Andy's having a chat with the guys and sort of saying he's not yet closed off, and his main reason for not closing off makes sense. Nakia's only 21. We forget this with how mature she behaves, in the sense that, yeah, there was the immaturity in regards her just agreeing to be closed off just for the sake of it. But otherwise, the way she's able to stand up to people, the way she's able to self-advocate, the way she carries herself in her relationship shows a level of maturity, which Georgia, another 21-year-old, is struggling to sort of get to. So he says he's not closed off because, he's at an age where he's 2-3 years away from having children, settling down, and he doesn't want to put that on her because she's only 21. And so I think had she been sort of 25, 26, he would have been ready to shut things down, because he says apart from their age difference, everything else is amazing. So I think it then becomes a question of, do you want to continue on this amazing relationship, or do you want to risk it all? I think as long as he's in the villa, he's going to stay. I would rather Andy stay with Nakia than with Sav, because Sav is highly intelligent. We know she's a lawyer, but the way she behaves, she doesn't carry herself like, I know there's no thing to sort of say like a lady, because a lady depends on how you define a lady, but she doesn't have the level of etiquette that I think someone like Andy would need. The way she's very crass, even when they were laying on the beds and she was humping the air and stuff. I don't know whether that would be appropriate for Andy, because if you were to put Nakia and Sav side by side and say who's older, I think a lot of people would be struggling to say that Sav is the older one because of how she behaves. So I don't know. We'll see how it plays out. And for suddenly Zach to now have an opinion and want to give relationship advice, please sit down somewhere. This is not your revamp character, trip. This has nothing to do with you. You haven't done anything that would encourage us or tell us otherwise in regards how much of an expert you are at relationships. So please sit down. Thank you. I get where Andy was coming from, because this is something I've always spoken about with Love Island, in the sense that they bring in very young guys and they bring in older girls. But then in this situation, they actually have more mature guys than they have mature ladies, which is amazing. But then I think, as Andy had been told by the guys, before pulling Sav or before agreeing to a chat with Sav, he should have gone for a chat with Nakia. Because Nakia, to have to eavesdrop and to only hear parts of a conversation, we all know Nakia is very spicy, she's very explosive, so she is going to kick off. And so, yes, I understand Andy trying to sort of brainstorm and just have a conversation with someone and sort of get someone to hear what he's saying. But I think the person he spoke to was the wrong person. I feel like if he wasn't going to speak to Nakia first, he should have pulled Tyra, because Tyra is Nakia's best friend in the villa, and sort of sussed out how to approach Nakia with his concern, because it is a genuine concern. She's 21, he's 27. Yes, they get along very well. She is a bit more mature for her age. Yeah, she does throw temper tantrums. That's to be expected with her age. And I think had he done that and then pulled Nakia aside after speaking to Tyra, Nakia would have received it better, because having to eavesdrop and then having Sav sort of make her comments and sort of chime in, and because Sav has got a loud voice that carries, they were able to hear what Sav was saying, but they were not able to hear what Andy was saying. So by the time Andy pulled, Nakia for a chat, she was boiling. One thing I like about Nakia is she's going to speak up for herself. She knows how to self-advocate, and she knows how to stand her ground, because yes, he's saying he doesn't know whether they would work on the outside world, but that's 3 years time. 3 years time, Nakia will be 24. How does he know? Maybe she'll be in a position to want children. As he said, he's 3-4 years away from having children. I feel like she's right to say, let's give it a try in the real world. It's good that he's looking at the relationship past the villa, but I think he needs to allow his relationship time to sort of play itself out. Otherwise, this is going to be, I wish I shoulda, coulda, woulda, because then he's always going to have regrets that maybe this is what I should have done. Maybe I should have continued to pursue my relationship with Nakia. And so, Nakia will stand her ground, and she will make it known that she's not happy. And so, hey, it is what it is. I like the fact that she didn't shout and she didn't scream and she wasn't very confrontational, and she actually stood her ground. That was amazing. So Tasia receives a text message, and there's going to be a challenge. And so the couples will compete together as a couple, and they will get to say one-liners and then perform whatever, road work they're supposed to be doing. Anyway, first up is Zach and Lucinda. Lucinda, I think, is still upset at the fact that her girl has gone home, Abby. So for her to take a zig at Chloe doesn't make sense, that you like red flags. Well, it is what it is. It didn't make sense, but hey. And then Zach and Trent do not like Nate. And the fact that Nate was able to have Georgia come back to him groveling is making their blood boil. For Zach to throw a zinger at Nate that, girls like you until they realize that you're boring. Well, Georgia likes him. She said the kisses are amazing. He's good at making out in bed. She was even getting him to tie a do-rag. She really must like him that much. So for him to think, that's his thing, it is what it is. And I like the fact that Georgia said, well, it seems Zach is good at talking about people behind their back and not to their faces. And it's like, oh, Nate had no comment with that. He was just like, okay, stick up for your man. Georgia's on a roll, and I give it to her for having a go at Sav, because Sav made some really brutal comments about Georgia during the Nate incident. So I give it to Georgia telling Sav that she needs a therapist, and maybe she does, not in a bad way, but she just does, because there's a lot of things going on there that don't make sense. So I think she does. And I like the fact that Nate said, to Trent, you need to skip dinner because you've had enough of my dust. And it's like, well, it is the truth though. It is the truth. And for Trent to say, oh, well, she was outside on the day beds with me when she was supposed to be in your, but she said she was thinking of Nate. So you had her body in your bed on the day beds, but her mind was still in the bed with Nate. So hey, it is what it is. Nate still wins. Hey. Am I surprised that Tyra and Kale went for Nakia and Andy? No. Because obviously Tyra is too sweet, so she was always going to choose someone she knows would take it for what it was. And for her to say, your feelings for Kale were as fake as your boobs, hey, it is what it is. And Nakia took it, and she didn't take offense to it. I think if anyone else had come for her, then there would have been beef. And the comment about Nakia being an ice queen by, by Kale, yeah, it is what it is. She wears it as a badge of honor. That's her personality. At least she has a personality. That's all I can say. I prefer her to some of the other islanders in the villa. I know she's not popular with most of the viewers because of how she treated Kale, but she's been consistent. One thing about Nakia is she says what she means and she means what she says. She will never waver. If she says she's going to do something, that's what she's going to do. She has not gone back to Trent to say, oh, I'm sorry, can we try over? No, she's moved on and she stood on it. So I give her credit for that. I have to give her credit for that. Next up was Chloe and Reed. I give Chloe credit for what she said. That, listen, this is your second time on Love Island, and I think she was more or less saying you're still going for red flags. You can't seem to know which is a genuine guy and which is not, which we all know. As much as they say she's dating Zach in real life, but it is what it is. I think he's living out his fantasy, as I've said. And so I give it to Chloe for calling out Lucinda. And Lucinda didn't get it. And it's like, okay, it is what it is. Reed obviously spoke about Zach and the fact that, he's got nothing upstairs. Okay. I won't say anything to that. Nakia was always going to call out Savannah because she's been holding it in. She's managed to hold it in anyway. So for her to call out Savannah and tell her, you're good at cutting my grass. Hey, it is what it is. And Sav needs to have a bit of class. And she needs to have a bit of... I wish she could learn a thing or two from Nakia. I think she doesn't need to be desperate and be chasing after guys that haven't shown her any interest. I think she needs to do better. And Andy told Kale, 2 minutes of my time with Nakia was more valuable than 10 days with you. And it's like, oh, that's a bit of a low blow, but hey, it is what it is. Kale took it for what it was and just laughed it off, so that was good. No one was offended. I think Savannah needs to move on. I think they either need to bring her a bombshell or send her home, because it's not fair to keep putting her in these awkward situations or have her sort of chase connections with people that are really not feeling her. Because, she has a dig at, Nakia, and it's like, it is what it is. And then she decides to kiss Andy. Okay. It is what it is. But I like the fact that Nakia, in her confessional, she told him that, you're being naive. Savannah is very slippery, so you need to be careful. And one thing about Nakia, I have a feeling that if Andy does recouple with Sav, Nakia would rather go home than couple up with Andy. I think she'd rather go home or couple up with a bombshell than recouple with Andy. So he has to be careful in what he's doing. Next up is Tasia. I love Tasia. I think she's cute. I think she's sweet. She really was sexy in her routine. She had a dig at Reed. Is that a surprise? No. And Reed to say, oh, that stung a bit. Stung a bit what? She told you the truth. You've had so many bombshells and you've had one of the OG girls and you still haven't been satisfied. And for Chloe to say, oh, we're going to prove everybody wrong. Good luck to you. It is what it is. And then she chose to kiss Kale. And it's like, of all the people, I think she didn't want trouble with anybody else, so she decided to pick Kale because she actually said respectfully. So I think she knew that, Tyra would say it for what it is and accept it for what it was. I think Trent's zing didn't work because he said, Georgia, my battery lasts longer than your relationships. And it's like, technically, she wasn't in a relationship with you. Technically, she spent a night with you, so it was a hit it and quit it, but it wasn't a relationship. And besides, she said she regretted it the moment it started. So please sit down somewhere. And for him to go for a throuple kiss, I think he should have kissed Sav, who already knows he's terrible, because now Tasia is not going to be keen to explore anything with him because she knows he's a terrible kisser. I don't know. Sav was excited and she said it was the best throuple kiss. Sav is always going to say something positive about Zach and Trent. Those are her guys, regardless of how terrible they are. So the islanders return to the villa and the boys are sort of talking and saying Sav had the best zing, and it's like, I don't remember anything. I don't think anything stood out. Sav is desperate. She needs to be in a couple, and because Trent and her made everybody know that they had broken up because Trent thought he was going to win Georgia, now they can't suddenly go back together, but I wouldn't be surprised if they say we've decided to give it another go. And then Lucinda needs to mind her own business. Can somebody shock her again and get her in the bottom three, please? Because the fact that she wants to know about Nakia's relationship and she's asking her, oh, how is your relationship with Andy? When I grow up, I want to be like Nakia. I'm going to say this. When I grow up, I hope I am like Nakia, because Nakia is 21 years old, but she's able to read the room and she's able to read people and understand them and make decisions accordingly. She said no, and Tyra was quick to take her girl away from the situation because she could tell it was already becoming awkward. And with Nakia, my girl knows how to stand up for herself. She's not going to let anyone bully her or say anything and not have a response to that. And so for Lucinda to start complaining that, oh, why doesn't she want to say anything about her relationship? Who's asked you about your relationship with Zach? Why are you interested in her relationship with Andy? My thing is, the way I see Lucinda has forgotten that this is her second time in the villa. She's forgotten that she's a guest and she's not one of the main characters for the season. And so she needs to know her place and she needs to stay in her place, because the fact that she's trying to sort of break people up or trying to cause friction for people that she doesn't like or people that she feels have aggrieved her doesn't make sense. We all know she doesn't like Nate because he didn't chase after her. When she went to Zach, he didn't come chasing after her and I'm begging her to come back. He moved on, and that's why she doesn't like him. And now she doesn't like Nakia because she wants Sav to stay in the villa because Abby's gone. So she's going to say and do anything to create a rift. And Nakia, when she was talking to Tyra, was quick to say, I'm not going to say anything to her because I know she doesn't have my best interest at heart. Find you a team like Tasia and Tyra, because Tyra pulled Nakia away to stop her getting into confrontation with Lucinda. And then Tasia sat there and pretended to just be one of the girls listening to the gossip. As soon as it was finished, she took it piping hot and dished it out to Nakia as it was served. And I am here for that. Be my friend. Even if you don't speak up for me in the group, let me know what the group is saying. That way, when I meet them, I know how to behave or how to respond accordingly. Accordingly is the key word. I love it. I love it. So the islanders get ready for the night and Nakia offers to do the toast. One thing about Nakia is she's going to speak her mind, and so she wanted everybody to know that she's there for love and she's going to fight for it. She's not just going to roll over and allow people to do or say whatever they want. And you can see people squirming. And then they receive a text message together on the fire pit. What do I think about that fire pit? Am I surprised with the result? No. I've always said this, that the producers are always going to save Trent because Trent is Zach's minion and they need him there to keep Zach company. And I feel like they're going to keep him until the very end and then they'll send him home because he's not in a couple. He hasn't been in a romantic couple since he walked into the villa. That's my opinion. Tia liked him at sight, and then when she kissed him, she didn't like him and she dumped him. And everybody else has done the same. And so for him to be told to make the decision didn't make sense to me, because I think the islanders should have chosen who they wanted to eliminate and who they wanted to save. And because the producers weren't sure if the islanders were going to save Trent, they decided to give him that power. I don't think he made the right decision. I feel like he saved Sav because the producers wanted Sav saved and because that's his friend. There is nothing romantic there. He broke things off with Sav. He told Sav he wasn't feeling her romantically. So for him to say, oh, I think we might have left something and we need to try. No, he should have owned up. He should have been man enough, in my opinion, and said, I've been in the villa for so many weeks. I've struggled. I've tried to get a connection. I couldn't find one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the gentlemanly thing and sort of bow out and offer myself to go home and leave the girls and give them an opportunity to hopefully find someone. If he didn't go home, Sav should have gone home, because Sav, none of the guys in the villa like her. Andy is humoring her, but I don't think he likes her in a romantic sense because of the way she speaks and the way she carries herself. And so for him and Sav to stay, that's just a waste of time. Both of them could have easily gone home. At least Tasia stood a chance. She was open to getting to know people, and there was a possibility she would have found her person. These two are past their sell-by dates. They need to go home. I'm sorry. I'm really sad to see Tasia go home. I think she was cheated out of an experience. I think, as she said, she didn't get to talk to a lot of people just because she was being respectful. And the sad thing is, I think if Aiden had stayed when Trent was saved, she might have become a couple with Aiden, because Aiden was quite a decent guy. So had Aiden stayed in the villa, I think Tasia would have eventually sort of found her way to him and they could have been a romantic couple. I don't think Trent is going to be in a romantic coupling with anyone, neither do I think Sav. And for Sav to then cry afterwards and say, oh, I was getting this feeling that I should have told Trent that I still like him. Please keep quiet. Please keep quiet. We don't want to hear about it. Please keep quiet. It was a great episode. I was hoping it was just a funny little twist and they were going to bring Tasia back, but it seems they were set in sending someone home, and I'm so sad that she has gone home. I believe she deserves justice, but that's me. Anyway, thanks guys for watching. Please don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and click the link in my video to watch my review from episode 18. Bye guys.